In this video, I'm going to talk about Japanese language education in Georgia. It has been around 8 years since I started to live in Georgia. I have been teaching Japanese for around 1 year in one of the universities, Tbilisi State University, Japanese language. And also I taught Japanese for 2 years in one of the language centers and also Japanese language center. And I also, for some period, I used to teach Japanese individually. So in this video, I'm going to share with you my impression and my opinions on Japanese language education in Georgia. First of all, the foundation of Japanese language education in Georgia is that I feel that the majority of Georgian people are quite interested in Japanese culture, Japanese history, Japanese traditions, and also Japanese language, which is very significant, I would say. And according to the data, which was published in 2023 from Japan Foundation is an institution supported by the government, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I suppose, promoting the Japanese culture and language overseas. It said that currently they are, at the time of 2023, they were more than approximately 600 students or people who are learning Japanese language in Georgia. There are two schools where they teach Japanese language as selective language, I think, as Japanese as a selective language. And then there are 4 universities. Tbilisi State University as a major. I also teach Japanese here, and also free university, private university, and they also have Japanese language education as a major, and also Iria State University, which where they teach Japanese as a selective, second language. And also these 3 universities are located in Tbilisi, and the 4th university, which also teaches Japanese, is located in Batumi, near the Black Sea. Its name is Batumi State University, Shotaru State University, I remember. And I think including those who officially learn in those schools and universities, and also individuals who are learning Japanese language by themselves, I think the amount of Japanese language learners would be even more than 600 people. And from here, I want to share with you my own impression and my opinions on Japanese language education in Georgia. As I mentioned earlier, I started to teach Japanese in Tbilisi State University. It's been around 1 year, and I feel that the majority of Japanese language students, Georgian students, at the beginning have quite high motivation. And this motivation usually comes from the interest in the Japanese culture and tradition, but mainly interest in anime and manga, which is very very important, I think, having such an interest and kind of encourage them to learn a new language, especially in this case Japanese. So this is some kind of very brief information on the interest and the motivation on Georgian people in learning Japanese language. And also, one of the features I noticed among Georgian students is that after learning hiragana and katakana, Japanese language has 3 writing systems, and first hiragana and katakana, I think the more classes they go through, the amount of students kind of followingly decrease, because Georgian language has only 33 letters. Not only, because from the Japanese perspective, only 33. Japanese has even more amount of letters. hiragana, katakana, and kanji, numerous amount of letters. But this learning Japanese writing system is quite not really familiar with them. That's why they find it a lot of students find it kind of difficult. And the more classes you conduct, the more the students kind of lose their motivation and stop coming to the classes, unfortunately. Meanwhile, I think that the Georgian people have a quite good pronunciation and a phonetic system, skills of acquisition of Japanese phonetic systems. Probably because, theoretically speaking, Japanese and Georgian, both of them have only 5 vowels. So, acquiring of vowels is not the problem at all. And when it comes to consonants, Georgian language has even more consonants than in Japanese. So I guess that is why Georgian students have relatively good pronunciations in Japanese. But at the same time, when it comes to attitude towards Japanese language education and classes, compared to the Japanese students, Japanese students, relatively more Georgian students don't really attend the classes. If they don't have motivation, they come kind of a little bit late to the class compared to Japanese students, as far as I know. But if they have very high and a big motivation in learning Japanese language, the level that they can achieve is quite high at the same time, followingly. So, and also among them, there are several kind of successful learners, I would call, and they learn Japanese language by themselves as well, outside of the classes, like watching YouTube or making friends in language learning exchange application and stuff. And those students are very successful and achieving a very high levels in Japanese. And eventually, they have a high possibility of gaining a scholarship to study abroad in Japan, or getting Japanese language related works or jobs in the future. And from here, I want to share my own kind of messages first of all, to those who are learning Japanese, and also to those who are already teaching Japanese in Georgia, or thinking of teaching Japanese in the future in Georgia. First of all, to the students, thank you so much for having an interest in learning Japanese language. It's very important to learn a language in order to kind of open up the doors to the new world, and it's very important. I'm also learning Georgian. It's very, I would say, quite unique. So it's very important to kind of, in order to get to know the culture and get to know the country and get to know a lot of people using the language, their own language, it's very important to study. And my message is that you need to have, it's always better to have a concrete goals and purposes, and also learning schedule. Starting to learn Japanese because of anime and manga is also very good. But at the same time, practically speaking, language learning is not the jigsaw puzzles. It's more like, arranging some kind of boxes like this. It takes a lot of time, at least several years, in order to have decent levels of language, decent levels of Japanese, in order to have a decent conversation with Japanese people in Japanese. So the path is so long, and Japanese language is quite different, linguistically speaking, different from Georgian. So there will be a lot of moments when you find yourself quite lost and losing some motivation. and at that time you need your own purposes, goals. Why you are studying the language? What do you want to do in the future? I'm learning Japanese because I want to study abroad in Japan and study this particular subject so that I can get more knowledge and experience and then start my new career using Japanese language and stuff. Otherwise, it's kind of hard. And also constant learning, like daily, as a routine, learning Japanese as a routine is very important. The daily basis. At least like half hour every day. Every day is very important, and 2 hours is quite like ideal, I would say. But yes, having a very concrete purposes, goals, and also schedule. Like I have this particular goal. In order to achieve this, I have to follow this schedule, like learning schedule, to achieve my goal. So this kind of schedule, having a schedule and goals is very important. And to those sensei who want to teach Japanese in Georgia or already teach in Japanese, you are my colleagues, I think. Even though I also work in different spheres, but the language education is one of the biggest cores and interests in my life. And my thoughts that I can share with you is that as a sensei, I think it's very important to kind of support students to find their own concrete goals and schedules, concrete schedules and dreams and purposes, and also set up their own learning schedule. Lots of students do study Japanese, which is very good, but also getting lost because they don't have like very concrete, clear vision in learning Japanese language. So I think teaching Japanese grammars, pronunciations, and kanji is also important, but at the same time, as a person who can stand by students who are kind of struggling, suffering from the difficulty of Japanese language, I think this kind of, I would say, moral support is also very important. And also, in some cases, there are some students who learn like very fast, like very, very fast, and achieve like very high levels in Japanese. For those students, I think sensei needs to provide a special care or special attention or special support in order to go further, because those successful, I would call it successful learners would have like higher possibilities achieving their goals, like studying abroad in Japan or finding jobs related to Japanese language or stuff. So supporting these people is very important, I think. And also, as I mentioned, it's very important as a sensei. It's of course we need to teach Japanese language, but at the same time, grammars and kanji and pronunciations and everything. But at the same time, we need to also kind of trying to find some kind of careers for students, because obviously learning language takes a lot of time, energy, and money for students, right? And I see in lots of cases, unfortunately, that they do study a lot, but unfortunately they cannot find any opportunity to study abroad in Japan or find a job related to Japan or Japanese language. Their efforts actually vanishes, which is very kind of disappointing, I would say. So as a sensei, it's also very important to kind of support students to find opportunity to study abroad in Japan. Also connect Japanese business persons or those who are at the workplaces to kind of for the path to employment or something. This kind of support is also very important, I believe. That's very much it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. またね。